Today we're going to combine two creative practices I absolutely love, writing poetry and turning it into a piece of collage style art. I'll be showing you how I wrote a poem about a fox, created a watercolour background, a focus subject, and brought everything together with some textured collage elements. So grab your art supplies and let's get started. When writing your poem, start with a feeling or a moment that you want to capture. For me, it's the gentle grace and mischievous nature of the red fox. I begin by writing down some keywords I associate with foxes and also the feelings they evoke in me. Don't worry about structure yet, just get it out on the paper. Ask yourself, what moment, mood or image do you want to capture? It could be something you've seen or imagined, a fading memory you want to rekindle. Begin your first line and allow it to just flow from there. I'm going to focus on the image of a fox having fun on the forest floor. You can use rhyme, but it's not necessary. Focus more on sound and pacing, how the words flow together. Reading the poem aloud can also help you catch awkward phrasing or spots that need trimming. After typing mine out, I've noticed some parts I'd like to refine. I'm not too sure on the orange description here. I think it's a little bit too simple, so I'm checking a thesaurus quickly to see what else could fit. I think saffron sounds nice, so I'll put that in there. I've repeated myself with the word beauty as well, so I'm going to change one of these. Again, a thesaurus can be a great help here for ideas. I think this line is too short and interrupts the pacing, so I'll add in an adjective. And there's another repetition here with keep, so that's easily fixed too. Then you can pick a nice font. It can be tempting to go for a very long florally serif font, but try and pick one that's easy to read. A nice compromise can be to add a fancy serif for the very first letter. It's a nice decorative feature that draws your gaze into the poem without sacrificing on legibility. Copy and paste your poem a few times in various sizes before printing it off. This will let you choose the most ideal scale for your finished piece later on. And of course, if you prefer to handwrite your poem, this is absolutely fine, and I'd encourage it for a more traditional look. I don't want my poem paper too bright, so I'm adding a light watercolour wash over the top. This is just printing paper, so I'm being careful not to add too much water or it will basically just disintegrate. When your paper is wet, it's easier to tear if you'd like a rougher edge, which I do. I also thought a little leaf stamp could be quite nice here in the corner, so just some delicate decorative elements added onto the poem, not too much. Next we'll create a watercolour background. So tape down the edges of an A4 watercolour paper for a nice crisp white border and start painting. I'm using nice warm foresty hues, yellows, earthy greens and a touch of sienna to set a quiet woodland atmosphere. Let the water move freely, blend colours and leave white space if you want light to shine through. I decided to add a dash of peachy orange and turquoise in here as well to lift the tone and suggest maybe some flower beds on the carpet of the forest. You don't have to be a watercolour expert, just let it be expressive and loose. If you want to use a playing card background or a patterned paper, then you can just skip this step and move on to the focal subject. But I do recommend that you try to create your own background. It will add to the uniqueness of the piece overall. Layering your paint with more trees in the foreground helps create distance. You can use softer colours in the back to add a sense of depth. This also works with bushes, buildings, hills and so on, so craft yours with the scenery that you like. If you've ever enjoyed Bob Ross, you'll know he's a fan of adding a big tree in the foreground, which can be quite scary and fear of ruining your scene that you've spent lots of time on. But I say go for it. I'm going to do this for mine. It will draw your eye down the page and then flow nicely towards the poem when I add it on later. I'm just freely experimenting here, letting the scene unfold for me in a carefree way. But if this seems a little daunting, you can sketch some small thumbnails first, so you can have an idea of the composition of your page and a guide to work from, and that can ease any art anxiety that you might have here. So I'll stop talking for a minute and you can just relax watching this scene come to life. Now that we're done, we can peel off the tape for that lovely crisp edge. Use a hairdryer to heat the tape first so you don't tear your beautiful artwork. My focal point is a fox, sketched simply and then painted with a vibrant orange to help him stand out. You can trace, collage, stamp, or paint yours, whatever suits your style. Some things to consider for your collage subject are contrast. Your subject should stand out just enough without overwhelming the background. And composition is important here too. I wanted my fox to be looking up at the poem, so consider the pose of your subject and where their attention is focused. Once your subject is complete, cut them out. If you have any small areas that are difficult to cut with scissors, use a scalpel blade for a more precise cut. Just be careful and use a cutting mat so you don't damage your table. Now for the fun part, bringing it all together. I've gathered some textured pieces to include, so some craft paper, little leaves and transparent papers. These elements help tell the story of the poem by adding nature-inspired textures and giving more depth of life to the background. Glue them down thoughtfully. Try tucking them behind parts of the subject or layering them near the poem to draw the eye there. For instance, I'm going to use this piece of blue card because I think it will bring out the blue of the flower beds in my garden. You can use glues like Pritt Stick or PVA, or just use washi tape for a soft scrapbook feel if you prefer. If you're interested in craft box items and upcycling, I have a video where I look through my box of odds and ends to use in another similar project, so you might want to watch that one. I'll link it here. So here I'm adding some grass and foliage into the foreground to add to the feeling of depth and give it a nice tactile look. Overlaying the scraps of paper is a nice way to suggest dense plants, and it gives a more natural feel despite the stylistic look. The leaves are always a favourite of mine, and here they look like they've fallen down from the trees above, and it gives a nice soft carpeted look. I'm adding a few stamps now, and I'm actually applying 2 different colours to the one stamp in some instances, which gives a nice unique look to it. You could always sketch in leaves and flowers instead if you like to. Once I was finished, I thought the top left corner looked a little bit bare, so I decided to paint in a few extra leaves and branches just as a finishing touch. To be a fox must be a treat, where every day is fun, pouncing through the trees, glinting in the midday sun. With saffron fur and amber eyes, your allurement is profound. Where foxes roam, there's bound to be mischiefness around. With a gentle snow-capped snout, you caress the verdant grass, sneaking footfalls silencing your adventurous trespass. Keep playing, gentle creature, stay light in heart and paw. In your hypnotic beauty, I'll forever be in awe. And that's it, a short poem and a piece of mixed media art to go with it. This is a beautiful way to capture a thought or feeling, and every element of it is yours. I'm framing mine because I'm quite proud of it. Try this out for yourself and let me know how you got on in the comments. I'd love to read your wonderful poems. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, as it really helps my channel. And I'll see you next time for more creative fun. Bye for now.